बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ। आपने समाप्त किया। माननीय श्री एस निरंजन रेड्डी।
Thank you, Vice Chairman, sir. As I speak, sir, I must confess that I am facing a dilemma between a conflict between my mind, which is fully satisfied by the reasons given for the purpose of making the changes to the law.
माननीय सदस्य, आपका स्थान कौन सा है वैसे?
105 है सर।
आप अपने स्थान से बोले तो ठीक रहे।
ठीक।
सदन का नियम है जी। आपको कष्ट हुआ इसके लिए क्षमा। आप बोलिए।
Sir.
जी।
Sir, I am, as I said, I am facing a dilemma when I speak on this subject, because there is a conflict between my mind, which is fully satisfied that enough reasons have been made out by the government for the purpose of bringing these changes, because these are needed in national interest, in national security interest, and also for the development of the country. But there is a lurking fear in my heart whether this would open some sort of a floodgate for certain forest area which needs to be protected to be released. Sir, when I speak, it is not about the immediate government or the very immediate efficient minister we have, because the law, once it is made, it will be a law that will be operating for several years to come. Sir, I find that in this bill, there are a lot of provisions that are made while granting relaxations that the central government would either make guidelines or issue directions with regard to proper implementation of these provisions. So the bill, sir, if I may use a metaphor, a good law would be like a reservoir which is built strongly to contain the mischief. But a rigid reservoir which does not allow flood waters to go or for discharge of water for good public causes is not a reservoir that serves public purpose. It needs those sluice gates. But the sluice gates must also have strong gates which will be stopped when the water is not required to be discharged. So the act was very rigid. It became a little more rigid with the Supreme Court judgment which defined the forest to include a deemed forest. I think, sir, these amendments will go a long way in alleviating certain hardship of people. It will also help the nation progress. It will also help the security establishment. While that is something that is laudable, the request I have for the government would be that when it is now making guidelines and it will be providing for issuing directions, I would request that these guidelines and these restrictions be placed in the most strongest manner, so that only such of the forest land which is required to be released from this particular purpose would then be permitted to go outside the fold of a definition of forest land. Sir, I have no doubt that it would be done, but this is just a concern, because when I heard Mr. Nanda speak, Honorable Member Mr. Nanda speak before me, when he expressed that the Act must also make a provision for preservation, I wanted to just state, sir, that there are these provisions which seem to provide for the government ensuring proper preservation, but those would have to come outside the Act now. So the Act is just the starting point. It serves public purpose, but I think the guidelines and the directions that the central government may have to make, I would request the Honorable Minister to ensure that the forest interests and the public interests are best protected by making absolutely tight guidelines which will not be violated at any time of point of time in future. Thank you, sir.
धन्यवाद। श्री K.R. सुरेश रेड्डी जी एब्सेंट। हेसिया